you feel better as we start each day. Okay, so what does that mean? It means we're gonna have a bottom-up approach, which is basically just a meditation to kind of get you grounded, get you in your body. And so we'll do that right now. So I'd invite you to sit down and to kind of close out all the other apps, which shouldn't be that hard because half of them are down right now. Okay. Close out all the apps. And if you're here on Zoom, I'd invite you to turn your video on if you want so we could see you and to kind of co-regulate. And sit down and kind of find a comfortable seated position like this. And let's just close your eyes and let's take a deep breath in and hold the breath and squeeze the body and relax the shoulders and face. And slowly, slowly, slowly start to exhale. Let's take another deep breath in, eyes closed, and hold the breath and squeeze the body. And slowly, slowly, slowly start to exhale. One more time. Eyes closed, take a deep breath in. And hold the breath and squeeze the body. And slowly start to exhale. For the next little while, see if you can keep your eyes closed and just bring your attention to your body and notice if there is any stress or tension there. And try to bring your awareness to where there might be some stress or tension. And just let that part of your body know you see it. And it's okay to release a little bit. And just try to unclench your jaw and relax your shoulders, relax your solar plexus, relax your chest, stomach. See if you can just kind of bring your body into a little bit more of a relaxed, released state. And if you can't, that's okay. But just try. And as you're doing that, could you take another deep breath in? And slowly exhale. And for a moment, with your eyes closed, let's just do a quick body scan. Noticing your toes and your feet. And can you let them release a little bit? Ankles, calves, shins. Just bringing your awareness there for a moment. Knees, your quads and your hamstrings. Just bringing your awareness there for a moment, and just giving them permission to let go a little bit and release a little bit. And your pelvic region, releasing any tension that might be there. And stomach, lower back, mid-back, solar plexus and diaphragm. Just trying to bring your awareness there for a moment and releasing. Chest, shoulders, arms, elbows, hands, wrists. Just bringing some awareness to your body, letting it be there. Giving it permission to relax a little bit. The lower part of your head, the sides of your head and your temples, your forehead, the top of your head, your face, jaw, and maybe even the muscles behind your eyes. Just giving your body permission to release and to let all your parts know that you're here now and that you're safe and not alone, and it's okay to relax. And just for a moment, notice how you feel. And then before we open our eyes, try to keep your eyes closed for a moment. Can you thank the part of yourself that decided to show up today? Thank yourself for showing up and for growing and for being here and prioritizing your emotional health and your progress and prioritizing yourself today. It can be so easy to put everybody else first. So just for a moment, can you thank yourself for showing up today, especially because things didn't go according to plan and you were able to make an adjustment and do it differently. So just thank yourself for showing up. And ask yourself, what is your intention for today? To learn, to grow, to get unstuck, maybe to find clarity, to heal, to create abundance. What is your intention for today and for this challenge? What is your intention? And if you don't know, maybe your intention is to find an intention. That can be okay too. And then finally, could you give your body permission to feel grateful for this time that you've taken? And notice where you feel gratitude in your body. Gratitude for the growth, gratitude for the time, gratitude for the opportunity. And could you try to see if you can amplify the feeling of gratitude to your whole body for a moment? Giving every cell in your body permission for a moment to feel grateful. And just see if that's possible. And if it's not, that's okay. But just see if it is. Could you give every cell in your body just a moment to feel grateful for this chance to grow together? Let's take one final deep breath in. Hold the breath, squeeze the body. Slowly start to exhale. And whenever you're ready, feel free to open your eyes. Welcome back. How do you feel? And by the way, I love comments. I love reading comments. The comments pop up a little faster on Zoom than they will on YouTube or Facebook, even though we're not on Facebook right now. So I will see them. I can see the comments. So thank you for being in conversation with me. Would love to know how you're feeling after just a few moments of directing your attention and breathing. So maybe leave a comment. Let me know how you're feeling. I thrive on that. And today, what we're going to be talking about, much more relaxed and focused. I love that. That's beautiful, Jennifer. I love that. Thanks for making me feel safe and to relax. You're welcome in this. More relaxed, feeling more relaxed, more at peace, more connected to your body, more released. Yeah, awesome. Peace. Feel amazing. Melissa Ann. All right, beautiful, fabulous, fabulous. Someone's feeling fabulous. That's fantastic. All right, relax and zen. All right, beautiful, awesome. Love it. Grounded. Cool. That is how we want you to feel, because when you're feeling this way, you're feeling in a better state to learn too. All right. So maybe we can bring up the slides and let's just hold that Mercury in retrograde continues to be, the effects of it tend to be, or continue to be over, and we'll just let hopefully the tech work. So can they see these slides? All right. Can y'all see this? If you can see it, just let me know. Yes. Okay. Perfect. All right. Great. Awesome. Okay, so we are here for the Emotional Health Challenge, and we're here for the next 5 days, which I'm super excited about. And the process will build on itself. And I think that you'll get a lot of value. I'm pretty sure you'll get a lot of value. Today, what we're going to cover is why the old modalities of self-help, spirituality, and mental health are keeping you stuck. They're not necessarily bad, but who here feels like you have so much information now and you may even know what to do, but you're not doing it to the level that you want to be doing it? Let me kind of see if I show of hands or in the chat if that's you, right? There's so much information out there today, right? So much information. And you could understand that, like, what goal setting is, or what meditation is, or what quantum physics is, right? Or even what trauma is. But without the approach that we're going to be talking about today, it's really common for people to stay stuck. And so hopefully we can kind of dive in. And can we make sure that the Zoom chat, I can see it because it kind of is getting like a cue there. Yeah. Okay, cool. Awesome. So let me tell you just a little bit about me. Like, who am I if you're meeting me for the first time? My name is Mastin Kipp. I am an emotional health and trauma expert. I am the creator of a modality called functional life coaching, which is an integrated approach to high performance that takes a nervous system approach, an evidence-based approach, a trauma-informed approach. Many trauma-informed approaches tend to be for adverse populations who are in acute trauma, domestic violence, and all the intense capital T traumas, the PTSD that you've heard about. And we focus primarily on helping people optimize their life, whether it's relationship outcomes, business outcomes, entrepreneurial outcomes, financial outcomes. We're more about optimization and high performance than we are treating adverse experiences. I have over 20,000 clinical hours working with clients, so I do not have a PhD. I do not have any credentials other than a yoga certification, but I do have 20,000 hours working with folks, and we do take an applied neuroscience approach, and we do take an evidence-based approach, which means that we bring proven models into our practice, and then we apply them, and then we monitor our clients and look at the progress and look at what has efficacy and bring the things that we see that have efficacy to you. And we're in the process of doing some preclinical trial studies where we're getting really the process set up to really document what we do in a way that can be published to the scientific community. That stuff takes a very long time to happen, but we are in that process, and I do my best to be on the cutting edge of applying neuroscience into your life. And so I've had some success in my career. Oprah Winfrey had me on Super Soul Sunday a few years back, and she called me a spiritual thinker for the next generation, which is like such a large expectation to live up to. I'm just trying my best to live my life and help as best I can. My book, Claim Your Power, which some of you may have read, has been out for a couple years and is continually getting awesome reviews and also results for clients. It was one of the first probably I think the first trauma-informed coaching book to kind of come out and really started this wave of trauma-informed coaching that's now really taken off, which is such an amazing thing. Some of you may know who Bessel van der Kolk is, author of Body Keeps the Score. This is me and Bessel at the Trauma Conference, and I do my best to surround myself with the best in both coaching, mental health, and trauma so that we can bring you the best as well. So I'm always learning, always growing. I'm also, even though I have no degrees or education in that context formally, I am an invited member of the Traumatic Stress Research Consortium, which is Dr. Stephen Porges put together, who's the author of polyvagal theory at the Kinsey Institute. And one of the things that we work on with them is sharing data on what works and what doesn't work so that we can get more and more data collectively as trauma facilitators to know what works and what doesn't work. And so we do our best to share our data there and really take an evidence-based approach to our practice. Now, let's talk about, before we get started, what does it mean to be trauma-informed? Okay, we hear this word out there a lot, and people call themselves trauma-informed, and it's an important thing that the world becomes more trauma-informed. But when we look at the definition of what trauma-informed means, here's what it means, okay? A program, organization, or system, this comes from SAMHSA, a program, organization, or system that is trauma-informed realizes the widespread impact of trauma and understands potential pathways for healing, recognizes the signs and symptoms of trauma in staff, clients, and others involved with the system, and responds by fully integrating knowledge about trauma into policies, procedures, practices, and settings. We do our best to do that. Now, trauma-informed is very different than trauma-trained. So me and my team are also trauma-trained, meaning we know how to work with trauma. So, and we'll get into the nuances of what trauma is. Do you have it? Do you not have it? We'll talk about that. You don't necessarily have to think you have it. Not everybody has it. Most people have some version of trauma, but we'll get more into the nuance of that here in a little bit. But there's a difference between a program that's trauma informed and practitioners who are trauma trained. And our company is both trauma informed and also trauma trained, meaning we know how to work with trauma and the nervous system. And you know, our team collectively has almost 100 years in mental health in terms of like collective experience and stuff like that, multiple degrees and experts in clinical social work and polyvagal theory and internal family systems and stuff like that. And we bring all of it together to help you. Now, when we look at the principles of a trauma-informed approach, okay, the focus is on safety, first and foremost. Safety is important. Creating trustworthiness and transparency, so helping you understand like what our agendas are and what's happening in relational dynamics. You know, I'm a trauma coach, but I have trauma myself, so not only am I the founder, but I'm also a client, right? And I'll share more about that later. I think everybody has adverse experiences or trauma that they've been through. Also, peer support and mutual self-help, that collective collaboration is super important so that we're not in isolation and kind of trying to do stuff all by ourselves. Collaboration and mutuality, so this is a conversation, and if you're with us in VIP on Zoom, I look forward to talking with you a little bit later and doing some coaching at the end of every session. That will be super fun. Also, empowerment, voice, and choice. So when I'm working with somebody and doing coaching, and I'll remind whoever I work with when this happens, you know, we only go as far as you want to go. So you always have consent. This is not about me telling you what to do. This is about an invitation into your nervous system and into your life and into your history to see how can we unpack that to help you move forward. But you always have the choice. And then also cultural, historical, and gender issues. So as a 6'5" white man, I can't sit here and say, just do what I did and you'll get the same results, because that means you have to start out as a white guy with privilege from Kansas who was born to the upper middle class, right? So when we're taking a trauma-informed approach, we have to take the cultural context of the individual, the historical context of the trauma for people in the specific groups of people who have been perhaps marginalized or discriminated against, and then other gender issues, because everyone has equal value, equal dignity, but not equal experience when it comes to why they're not getting results in their life. Who follows? Does this make sense? So I want to make sure that makes sense. Okay. All right, cool. So let's dive in. I'm curious, what modalities have you tried up until now to change your life? Just feel free to hop in the chat and just let me know. I'm so curious. What have you tried? So many things out there, right? NLP, life coaching, holistic health coaching, tapping, I see, talk therapy, coaching. Let's just kind of see what modalities that you've tried. The hospital, okay, maybe you're in the hospital right now. General counseling. What else? What other modalities have we tried? I'm so curious. Journaling, okay, cool, awesome. Therapy, EFT, talk therapy, meditation, DBT, jujitsu, craniosacral, breath work, energy healing, embodiment movement. So many different therapies. There's so many different modalities that are out there, right? I feel like, who here feels like the world has become modality obsessed? We're so obsessed with modalities. We get so focused on these modalities, right? Plant medicine, EMDR, tapping, holistic health coaching, hypnotherapy, I'm seeing in self-help, all these things, right? Working out, hypnosis, breathwork, EFT, TBT, DBT, all of these freaking modalities, right? Who here feels like, what modality do I use? Like, which one is it? There's so many. In which order? I'm just kind of, is anyone here like confused about all of these modalities and what they mean and how do they go in what order? Who here feels like there's a smorgasbord of modalities out there? I'm just kind of curious by showing hands or in the chat who feels like this shit is confusing to you, right? Here's a list of some of the top modalities. Look at all these modalities, right? I mean, goodness gracious, there are so many. Okay, and they all have beautiful parts, right? We have psychedelics, EMDR, internal family systems, functional medicine, myofascial release, somatic equine therapy. We got trauma releasing exercises, tapping, brain imaging, family constellation therapy, mindfulness, energy work, dance therapy, neurofeedback, somatic experiencing, sensory motor psychotherapy, trauma informed, blah, 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 so many things. So many modalities out there, right? And even though there's never been more modalities, okay, there's also never been more confusion, right? Who here feels like you're confused about which modalities that work in which area and how do they apply? I'm just kind of curious by show of hands here on Zoom. Who here feels confused, right? And also maybe frustrated because there's so many modalities. Maybe you've tried a bunch And maybe you're not getting the results that you want to be getting. And maybe you even beat yourself up. Maybe you think, oh my God, it's me. Something's wrong with me, right? I think the world has become modality obsessed. And with functional coaching and our approach, we bring in modalities as necessary. But there is a process and a system that I'm going to help teach you, and a way of approaching your emotional health that is most effective, okay? And I think it was Bessel van der Kolk who said it best, right? Someone was asking him about EMDR and what he thought about EMDR therapy. And he said, you know, someone who tells me that I'm an EMDR therapist, he's like, what are you, like a hammer carpenter too? Right? Is a hammer all that a carpenter needs to build a house? The answer is no, right? We need lots of tools, right? And we need to understand that there's a way or an approach that can be most effective. And what I'm going to do and help you understand for the next 5 days is, what is that approach? How does it work? Give you experiences in that process and help you to really get the perspective and the support that you need to get results from now on, okay? Now, there is something more important than a modality to help you get results. There's something that comes before modalities, okay? And this is so important, okay? Modalities are secondary to safety, okay? Dr. Porges, author of polyvagal theory, helps us understand that safety is the treatment. Safety is the treatment. And what this means is that we have to prioritize the trauma-informed approach, right? We prioritize safety between you and the practitioner, or how you're feeling in a group. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you'll always feel safe, because part of taking a trauma-informed approach is sometimes you get triggered, but consider that you're feeling safe enough to get triggered sometimes too, right? And what happens a lot of times is people get so focused on the modality that they forget that it's the relationship that does most of the healing. And we look at even like MAPS, who is doing all the psychedelic studies right now, and MDMA, etc. MAPS highlights the therapeutic relationship and safety in the scene and the setting as the therapeutic agent that MDMA helps make more efficient, okay? So what this means is that the safety, the relational safety, is the primary healing or primary change agent, and everything else is secondary. So modalities are tools that support your emotional health only if safety is there first. Who follows? Does this make sense? I want to make sure this makes sense, okay? And the other thing to consider, okay, is that if a modality hasn't worked for you, it may be due to the lack of safety between you and the practitioner. So sometimes someone will say, well, you know what, Mastin, EMDR didn't work for me, or somatic experiencing didn't work for me, or whatever didn't work for me. And many times it's not about the modality, because modalities without safety don't work and can be re-traumatizing. Modalities with safety can be very powerful, and sometimes the safety is all you need, sometimes, right? And there's an approach to take of what to do in what order, okay? And so that's what I want to start to help you understand, is that it's not necessarily you. Many times it's the safety. And sometimes it's not just the safety. Sometimes it's just not the right modality, the right fit for you. Who follows? Does this make sense? I just want to make sure this isn't really making sense, okay? So hopefully you can take all these modalities that we're learning about and for a moment kind of set them aside and focus on the most important stuff, which is safety first. Now, question for you. When we look at trying to get results in your life, okay, what part of you is most responsible for you actually taking action or not? I'm curious. Feel free to hop in the chat and let me know. What do you think? There's no wrong answer. And I love the interaction, okay? So we have brain. What else? Your brain. What part of you? My body. Okay. We have smart people in Zoom. I love this. This is exciting. My mind, my risks, my nervous system. Okay, great. My brain. Okay. Here's the answer, okay? The most important piece of your system that's helping you take action or not, okay, is your nervous system. Okay? And so there's a way in which we can engage your nervous system to get optimal results. And a lot of people are saying your brain. It is, but it also isn't your brain. Let me explain why, okay? When we take a nervous system approach, when we take a neuroscience approach, the majority of the modalities out there take what are called a top-down approach to mental and emotional health, right? There's a focus on mindset. There's a focus on brain health. Even in mental health, this idea of like the brain chemical imbalance, right? All of these things, meditation, calming the mind, right? There's this idea, cognitive behavioral therapy, right? Talk therapy. All of these approaches are what we call top-down approaches, where there's a focus on the brain, and it's brain, 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 brain. And the general field is known as mental health, okay? Mental health. It's a cognitive approach. However, what we know when we take a trauma-informed approach, focusing on safety, is that it's the bottom-up approach where we highlight the somatic, we highlight the body, we highlight the body sensations, and that actually can improve mental and cognitive health, where things really start to shift and really start to change. Okay, so it's not that top-down is bad, and that it's only about top down, but we have to start with a bottom up approach, because understanding isn't enough. Okay, when we look at the brain's structures, okay, the cortical brain, the neocortex, where we have mindset, okay, and meaning and all that type of stuff, okay, the idea that we can take action, do goal setting, okay, the cortical brain, that's where we have executive function, where we get all of these, where we can sequence things and have good ideas and have great mindsets, right? The problem is that when we are dysregulated, or when we are emotionally dysregulated, the subcortical brain, meaning the limbic system and the emotional brain, literally takes the neocortex offline, and you can't think well, right? So when we talk about cognition first, when we talk about a top-down approach, if your body or your emotions are dysregulated, you're not going to have a good mindset. And people are like, Mastin, that's crazy. Thinking always happens in the brain first. Okay. Tell me how successful you've been. Check this out. How successful have you been having a positive thought when you're hungover? Okay? Or you've had no sleep, right? When your body is dysregulated, your brain is also dysregulated. And when we look at the data, okay, what we have to realize in our nervous system is when we look at like the actual neural pathways in the brain, only 20%, okay, of emotional data goes from the brain down. So 20% of emotional pathways, neural pathways, go from the brain down to the body. 80% of the pathways go from the body up to the brain. There really isn't a way to improve mental or brain health without first improving body health. Okay, that's why the book is called The Body Keeps the Score, not The Brain Keeps the Score. Okay, so what we have to realize, and this is just curious, which number is bigger, 80 or 20? Just curious. I know it seems rhetorical, but let's just have some fun with it, right? Which one's bigger? Okay? Have fun with me. Just have fun with me in the chat. 80%, right? Now, if you looked in the mirror, what's bigger, your body or your brain? Just curious, right? Obviously, the body is bigger, right? So when we look at neuroscience and Langley's work, who's the author of the autonomic nervous system, where the majority of the nervous system mindset came from, Langley focused on top-down pathways. But with the recent discovery of the importance of the vagus nerve and polyvagal theory, when we look at the vagus nerve, 80% of the fibers are afferent, meaning they go from the body up to the brain. 20% are efferent fibers. So what this means is the number one most important nerve when it comes to regulating your nervous system, feeling calm, feeling good in your body, health, growth, restoration, all the good feelings, 80% of those fibers go from the body up to the brain. Okay? What this means is that brain becomes what the body is. So when the body is regulated, the brain is regulated. And of course, there are so many patterns in the brain that also impact the body. I'm not saying it's only one way. Of course, it's bidirectional. But what we want to focus on is, if you're not getting the results that you want to be getting in your life, it's because you've taken a top-down, cortical, mentalized approach that does not prioritize safety. Who follows? Does this make sense? Just want to make sure that's super important. And this is why we can be stuck in understanding versus embodiment, right? If you know what to do, but you're not actually doing it, that's a mentalized approach. The majority of us in the West, in our educational process, we're educated from a top-down perspective, memorizing things, thinking about things, storing things in our brain, remembering things, taking tests, right? That's understanding. That's the brain. The brain is super important, by the way. But embodiment, actually having the shift in our nervous system, having the pathways in our nervous system, in our body, is what creates actual change. So if you're stuck, usually it's because you're stuck in understanding, which is cortical. We want to get subcortical, which is actual change, right? If you know what to do, but you're not doing it, what that means is you have a cortical understanding, which is the top part of the brain, the neocortex, but it is not descended subcortical into the limbic system, into the body as actually being safe. A very simple way to think about this is that when you're stuck knowing what to do, but not doing it, your nervous system is inflexible. And when you're actually getting results, your nervous system is what's called flexible. Okay? And so what this means is we want to focus on creating more and more nervous system flexibility so that you can do more things, take new actions. It's a very important concept, okay? So most of you are stuck, not because you're a bad person, not because Mercury's in retrograde, not because of your star sign, not even because of your trauma. You're stuck because your nervous system is inflexible and only has a certain range of responses that it feels safe doing. And the more flexible the nervous system becomes, the safer it feels to do new things. And so the reason why the old models of self-help, spirituality, and mental health are keeping you stuck is because they primarily focus on a top-down approach. Brain down, mind down, mindset down. They do not focus on creating a flexible bottom-up nervous system. And a flexible nervous system is the key to sustainable results. A flexible nervous system is what allows you to take new action. A flexible nervous system is what allows you to have new ideas. A flexible nervous system is what helps you to create new results. So if you've ever created the same results over and over and over and over and over again, nothing's wrong with you. Your nervous system is trying to keep you safe with a very limited range of responses. And so creating a flexible nervous system and prioritizing a trauma-informed approach and a bottom-up approach to mental health is the focus. And that's what we're going to be diving into this week, is how to do that, in what order, what is the most effective way to do that, because there is a process or a way to approach things that is most effective. And after doing this work with 20,000 clinical hours for 12, 13 years now, what I've very clearly seen is that there's a right way to do things that gets the approach. And it's really, in a lot of ways, modality agnostic, but the approach matters. So tomorrow, what we're going to be covering is what creates an inflexible nervous system at a root cause level. Okay, it may not be what you think. So we'll talk more about that tomorrow. I don't want to focus on that today because we just covered a lot. Some people are having so many breakthroughs just with what I've attempted to share already, okay? So what I'll do is I'm going to put these, and usually these coaching clarity questions would go in the Facebook group. Maybe we could screenshot them and put them in the chat. Is that possible to put a link in the chats for now? Maybe a screenshot with a link in the YouTube chat and the Zoom chat for now, and then we can put it in the Facebook group later. Okay. Yeah, we can probably, it's probably just pasting a link, right? So here are the questions that we have for you, okay? And we don't have to answer all this right now. The goal will be to answer these questions and hopefully post them in the Facebook group once Facebook is up, okay? Up until now, what modalities have you tried, okay? And how effective have they been? By the way, they may have been effective, right? To get you to a certain level. Have the modalities that you've tried been mostly top down or bottom up? Have the modalities that you've tried up until now been trauma informed? How safe have you felt with the practitioners of the modalities that you've tried? Have the modalities that you've tried focused on creating a flexible nervous system? And how could taking a trauma-informed bottom-up approach to create a flexible nervous system improve your results moving forward? So that is where I want to kind of leave it for today. And what I'd like to do is, if you're here with us on Zoom, I would love to take some questions and or do some coaching. So if you'd like some coaching here on Zoom, you can just go to the Zoom participants tab, raise your hand, and we will come to you and we can do some Q&A and some coaching right now, which is exciting. And then the other thing is, when I call on somebody, I'm going to ask you to celebrate them and clap for them, not because I want you to clap, but because typically when we're talking about a trauma-informed approach and we're talking about changing your life and doing this type of stuff, usually these types of conversations happen in unsafe ways with family members who are not happy about it or whatever. So we want to make sure that we're celebrating people who are using their voice So if you're in Zoom with us right now, please feel free to raise your hand on the participants tab for some coaching. And there's someone here, we don't know what their name is. It says Zoom user. But I guess we can go there first. Hello. Let's see if we can ask them to unmute.
Is it
Hi.
Anna? Is it me?
Nope. Sorry. Yeah, don't unmute yourself unless we ask you to. Let's mute them real quick.
I think that could be me.
There we go. Yes, that's you. Who is this?
My name's Heather.
Heather? Let's hear it for Heather, ladies and gentlemen. Awesome. Love it. All right. So, what's your question? How can I help?
This may sound like a stupid question, but this has been my quest for a while, is once you've identified what you feel could be your root trauma, what do you do about it? How do you heal it?
Great question. So we'll talk more about like how to work with root cause trauma this week, but what I can tell you is this. The goal is to create what are called disconfirming experiences, okay? And a disconfirming experience is an experience that in many ways is basically the opposite of whatever the trauma was in a lot of ways, right? So for example, if your trauma is abandonment, then we want to create a lot of connection. If your trauma is feeling powerless or held down or restricted, we want to create a sense of freedom in the body. And the way that that happens typically is we revisit the same emotions that were a part of the trauma, but then we make a new choice and have a different outcome. And that might take time. That's a very sort of high level answer. Can you tell me more about what you think your trauma is and what you've done to work on it so far?
I think it's an abandonment issue, and just kind of the feeling of feeling invisible my whole life.
That's
and
right.
Now
sense.
that I've kind of identified some things from my childhood that I didn't know were confirming experiences, I'm finding confirming experiences.
Yeah, that's right. So meaning you're confirming the trauma.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean? So
Yeah,
you're basically in a state of re-traumatization is what you're saying?
Yeah, I guess so. Because where it kind of came from and the people that were involved are kind of just doing the same thing. So, and it came down to a family thing, which I didn't even know this was a thing. I had a breakup a few months ago, and just every issue I've ever suppressed came out of the basement. And I didn't even know that I was upset with my family and feeling this way about them.
That makes sense.
Nothing's really like, I haven't had any experiences with them that have disconfirmed what I have now discovered.
That's right. Now, what's important to understand about disconfirmation, right? Creating a different experience for your nervous system, because our nervous systems need proof that things have changed, right? Disconfirming experiences may or may not be possible with the people who created the trauma. And a lot of times it's not possible. But what is possible is to find and create relationships in your life where there is a sense of not feeling abandoned, where you can feel visible, where you can feel like you're enough, right? But it may or may not be with your actual family of origin. So have you tried or thought about creating relationships outside of your family where you feel seen and heard and enough and all that stuff?
Yeah, I kind of have a kind of a core group of people, and it kind of all makes sense because my entire life I've kind of just gravitated to my friends and away from my family, and I never really knew why, and I kind of get it now.
That's right.
But yeah, I mean, I do have my people, so to speak, that do fill me up. So it's kind of uncomfortable to feel that disconnection from your family that you didn't really realize was a thing.
That's right. And I think that, when we think about like realizing that certain people in our lives can't meet our needs, and then you feel that feeling that you're talking about, right? It might be abandonment or the uncomfortability. That emotion has actually been there the whole time. It just becomes a lot more conscious because you're separating from people who are kind of keeping it suppressed in whatever, toxic or imbalanced dynamic that you're in. Right? But in many ways, feeling those feelings, as long as you have a trauma-informed approach with safety, co-regulation, all the things that we're talking about, that's a necessary part of healing the trauma, is going through those same emotions, but creating new outcomes. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, it does.
Yeah. What we don't want is to just go through those emotions and stay in those emotions, because that can create re-traumatization. But revisiting those emotions with a new choice and a new outcome is a part of creating disconfirmation.
Yeah, I think that's the part that I'm not flowing so easily to. I'm becoming more aware of things, and I'm
That's
definitely
right.
bringing more consciousness to all of this stuff, but I don't know what to do with it.
That's right. So we'll cover more of that as we grow throughout the week. And that's a really beautiful question. Thank you so much for your question today.
Thank you, and I'm a huge
Beautiful.
fan. I can't believe I
Oh,
just talked to Mastin Kipp. That's
it's so
amazing.
cool. It's so awesome. Let's hear
That's
it
so
for you
cool.
guys. It's so beautiful. It's so
Thank you.
sweet of you. All right. Let's see if we can go over to Nora.
Okay, hello.
Hi, and your name is?
Nora. My name is
Nora,
Nora.
ladies and gentlemen. It's here for Nora, y'all. Love it. All right. What is your question today? How can I help?
Wow. My question today is about how I'm stuck. I feel stuck. I feel like I've done a lot of work
Yeah.
lately, a lot of work. And all of that still leaves me stuck. Like I have a big decision to make. It's divorce. And
That's
I've
a
been
big deal.
thinking about it for a long, 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 long time. And I know I have the steps in my head. But when it comes to taking action, like something still blocks me. And then I go in my mind, like, what is it? What is it? After so much work, why am I still stuck? And I just can't, I'm not, taking action.
Yeah. So let's first of all, thank you for your question. And considering divorce is a significant decision in your life, what modalities have you tried up until now?
Talk therapy for the past 3 years. And most recently, ayahuasca and San Pedro.
Cool. Awesome. And I'm sure that they've had value.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And has it been those modalities that kind of helped you realize that it might be time for a divorce?
No, I already, the talk therapy at the beginning, because it's, my husband's emotionally, verbally abusive. And through talk therapy, like I realized that's what it was, because I didn't even know it was all normal for me.
Yeah.
And so I made the decision throughout talk therapy that I want a divorce.
And what was that feeling you were just feeling just now?
I don't know.
Where do you feel it in your body? Yeah, where do you feel that in your body?
In my veins.
In your veins. Okay. Well, I want you to know something first and foremost. So you're in control of this conversation right now. We only go as far as you want to go. All right. Do you want to explore that a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So when you say your veins, do you mean like everywhere in your body is where you feel it?
Yeah.
Or is it specifically somewhere?
No, I feel it kind of like my blood freezing in my veins.
Everywhere in your veins. Is there a place where you feel it the most?
Right now, I feel it in my arms.
Okay, great. Awesome. So let's ask that part of you, what is it sad about?
I don't know. That's another thing. Because I've tried.
Let's pause for a second. Let's slow down. See if you can focus on your arms for a moment. Yep. See, this is the bottom up. Your brain wanted to come in and tell me a story to prevent the feeling, which makes sense. But can you let your hands talk for a moment?
I don't know. I feel like I had it for a moment, but then it ran. It's not there.
It's
so
not
I
there
don't
anymore.
know.
It escaped you, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what your face says. Your face says you don't feel that way anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know. It looks like you might be crying a little bit right now. Are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did the feeling of sadness move somewhere else?
I don't know.
Okay.
I do a lot of I don't know.
Yeah. How do you know you don't know?
Because nothing comes up.
How do you know it's nothing?
because I don't know what to say.
Ah, okay. That makes a lot of sense. So let me just kind of guess here. Are you feeling any energy in your throat right now?
Well, that's another thing. I don't know how to say what I
Hmm.
feel in my
Okay,
body. Yeah, I haven't felt a long time.
that's
For a long
cool.
time, I haven't allowed myself to feel.
Yeah, and that feeling is that bottom up that we're talking about, right? So this is just like a little tiptoe into bottom up, which is different than top down talk therapy, right? And it's very normal to not necessarily know like what's going on here. I'm not too sure. I haven't spent a lot of time in my body, right?
Yeah.
So like we can go slow. Just kind of tell me what you notice in terms of where you might feel sad. We don't have to describe it, but maybe you can just kind of touch where you feel it.
I don't know. I feel like put on the spot, and I just
Well, you
lock it
definitely
all
are
up.
put on the spot because you
Yeah,
raised your hand.
yeah. No, no. And there's one part of me that I'm like, yes, whatever it is, I'm gonna do it.
That's
I'm
good.
open to it. But like some part of me just like it's hiding right now.
That's cool.
But not the part of me that wants to heal. So I don't know what to
Yeah,
say.
that's cool. Is there a part of you that has a hard time knowing what to say?
Uh, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Where does that part live?
I don't know.
I know you don't know, but if you did know, what would you say?
Um, that it's my inner child and it's in my heart.
Okay. So, like, can we just bring your attention here for a moment? And just tell me, do you feel sensation here? You're not sure?
Yeah.
Okay. What would happen if we just stayed with it for a moment? When you think about feeling feelings in your body, what does your mind do?
Um, Shuts it off.
Okay. So for the part of you that wants to shut it off, do you feel it up here? Like, let's shut it off?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Can we ask it why that part wants to shut off your feelings?
Uh, well, I can say rationally from what I
Yeah.
remember that as a kid, I learned that it's not okay to feel.
Okay. So let's thank that part because when you were younger, it wasn't okay. So that part of you is doing a really good job keeping you safe.
Yeah.
And when you think about rationalizing it in your brain, how old does that part of you think you are?
Uh, I don't know, 5, 6, a kid.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay. So can you let that part know how old you are now?
Okay.
What does it think about that?
N- Not as, I mean, uh, uh, n- uh, not trusting,
Okay.
distrusting.
Let it know that it's like makes a lot of sense that there wouldn't be a lot of trust right now. We're just meeting. You haven't been feeling your feelings for a long time. It wasn't safe when you were younger. It's doing a lot of really good work to protect you. And we want to check in if we have its permission to move forward. And if we don't, we can pause for now and come back to it later. That'd be fine. There's no rush. But what does that part want? Is it willing to step back so you can go further? Or does that part feel like that's enough for today?
No, she wants to go forward.
Okay. So thank her for that. Thank her for that permission.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. How does that feel?
Uh,
Doing such a good job.
uh, Whenever I get to connect like this, she's grateful.
Yeah. So where do you feel that? Do you feel that here?
Yeah,
Right here? Yeah. So let's just notice there. What are you feeling in your heart now?
I feel a little better.
You feel better?
Yeah.
Oh. Did you die?
No.
Well, how fantastic is that? High five for not dying.
Yeah.
All right. So let's just focus on the heart for a moment, and let's just focus right here, and let's ask it, what's hard about deciding to leave?
Uh, fear. Fear.
Fear of what?
Uh, uh, of being independent.
That's right. Has this part ever felt independent before?
Uh, no.
No. So it's like, doesn't even know if it'll work.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe let's just ask this part. Is it keeping you in this relationship because it knows that at least you'll survive if you're here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you haven't left because that's what you're going to do to survive. That's what you've done to survive up until now. That makes sense, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you doing with that right now?
Uh, I don't know. It's comforting. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So the part of you that feels fearful of being independent, where do you feel that in your body? Is that here or is it somewhere else?
Well, my stomach.
Okay, great. So let's go to your stomach for a moment. Can you bring your hands there for a moment? Or a hand there if you have one of your hands on the phone? All right. So ask that part of you in your stomach how old it thinks you are.
I don't know. Still a kid. 5,
Okay.
6.
That's cool. And can you ask it, why is it scared of being independent?
Because I don't know what's gonna happen. I'll be able to take care of myself.
Yeah. So it sounds like this part doesn't know how to take care of itself. Is that true?
Yeah.
So it's tried to find other people to take care of it, huh?
I mean, that's another thing I've learned to give to the kids, to everybody, and
so that's how you survive, is through giving.
me.
God bless you. That's beautiful. But it sounds like this part doesn't know how to take care of itself. Is that true? I'm
Yeah.
not saying you don't, I'm just saying this part doesn't.
Yeah.
And when you're a little kid, do you know how to take care of yourself?
No, I guess I learned. I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So like, let's just thank that part for like being really strong in making sure that before you leave, that you know how to take care of yourself. That sounds really important to me.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, but it still doesn't feel like I feel like it's so much in my bones. Like
I understand.
I'm barely. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
We're going to go
no.
slower than you're used to going, but it's going to be more effective. Right? So before we try to move on for like what to do or how to do it next or all the solutions, I'm just wondering if we could like let this part know in your stomach that like we're grateful that it doesn't want you to move forward until you know how to take care of yourself. Like that really is like a beautiful response. It's keeping you safe.
Yeah.
How does that feel? Just to acknowledge it.
Yeah, it feels good because another part would make me feel shame and guilty. That why am I not doing it? I got so much time. Why am I
And
not?
those are
Why am
different
I not?
parts, aren't they? Those are different parts.
Different
The
parts,
shame and the
yeah.
guilt are different parts. That's right.
Yeah.
So we'll just like let those be there for a moment. and just let this part know it's doing a good job keeping you safe, because this part does not know how to take care of itself. We can get to the shame and the guilt in a moment. We have to do one part at a time, though. So can we ask this part a question that's in your stomach? Would it be willing to let you try something new and just take a step back so that you can start to learn how to take care of yourself?
Yeah. She says, yeah.
Okay. Thank it for that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Because you've got it now. You're not a kid, and you're not alone either. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's beautiful. You are so beautiful and so vulnerable and so courageous. So what's that feeling that you're feeling?
Hurt.
Courage, yeah. So it's
Hurt.
actually I'm sorry?
Hurt.
Hurt. Are you feeling hurt? Okay. Is that a different part, or is that in your stomach?
No, I'm feeling hurt.
Oh, hurt, like HEARD.
Yes.
Ah, amazing. Okay, that's what I thought. I felt like those were like positive tears. So the tears that you're crying right now are not like painful. They're like actually like positive, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So welcome to a bottom-up approach.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you feeling right now?
Oh, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good.
Did you die?
No.
Okay. Is anybody abusing you right now?
No, we're kind of neutral.
Yeah. So there's no part of you that's abusing you. And just to be clear, I'm not abusing you. Is that true?
Yeah.
I know it sounds ridiculous, but your system is used to emotional abuse. So I want to make sure that we're just making that really obvious and clear. Right? So if you're not being abused and it's safe to feel your feelings, and this part's willing to let you try something new, is there a part of you that does know how to take care of yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where is that part?
I don't know. In my mind, I would say.
Okay. So your mind knows how to take care of you. Is there anything in your body that knows how to take care of you? That knows what you need? That it might be your mind. That might be fine too.
Yeah. I don't know in the body. I don't know what to say.
So mostly here. Okay, great. So is the part of you that knows what to do to take care of you is in your brain? That could work. Is that where you feel it?
No, it's still in my heart.
Oh, here.
Yeah, still my soul. Yeah.
Okay. So your heart, how does your heart feel towards this little kid that didn't know how to take care of herself and has been doing everything in her power to make you not move forward so that you don't continue to feel abandoned and alone and isolated? How does that heart part feel towards that part down here?
Right now, she feels good and connected, but most times, like, she runs off and feels like she's not being listened to. Yeah.
Yeah. That's because you're up in your head being like, yo, bitch, I'm not listening to you. I'm going to stay out of my body. I'm going to do everything else but be in my body. Right? And now what we're going to do is we're going to turn our attention here, realize that you're not a child, you're not 5 or 4 or 6 years old anymore, and be like, yo, I got you.
Yeah.
And if that part of you doesn't trust that yet, that makes sense because you just started to do it.
Yeah. Right now she feels listened to, but I know other times I had moments and then I lost her and then I tried to find her and she just wouldn't show up.
That's right. Well, part of the reason why she's showing up now is because you're not alone. You're in a safe container, and we're taking a bottom-up approach, and we haven't really even taken any action yet or done much except for just paid attention to your body and just like let it know that we're here, right? And that co-regulation, we'll talk more about that, right? That's so important to have that safe container. And to be able to make it work long term, that requires a lifestyle change and more support. And thank God we have more time together this week, right? And we'll talk about how to make this more of a lifestyle. But can you just let that part know that right now you see her? And let that part know that you might forget about her again, but you'll make a commitment to try to come back faster. How does that feel? It's like you're going to play peekaboo with yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
does that
playing
feel?
sounds nice.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
is there any part of you that knows what to do now in terms of the divorce?
Yes, I know the steps. I'm just,
Okay.
scared to take them.
Okay. And that would make sense because taking them means a whole new world. But if you knew that you could take care of yourself, would it feel as scary?
No.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. What's the first step?
Well, first step is I have to get my green card, which I don't have yet, and I have to get a lot of documents, and I'm just not starting to do it like I have it. Yeah, I know I gotta get those. I gotta call the landlord. I gotta call the school. I gotta do this and this and this, and I'm not doing it.
You know, it's really interesting. Like I asked you what the first step was, and you just gave me like 400 steps.
Yeah, I do that too.
One
Like
of the things that you're doing, let me highlight this for a second. One of the things that you do when you talk about that part of you that feels like you disappear, right, is you think about so many things that happen so fast and assume they're not going to work out. That like this part's like, what about me?
Yeah,
so that's why you want to slow
really
it down.
is what she's saying. What about me? She
Yeah.
did say that.
Exactly. So ask her, what about her? What does she need you to do? What's the first step for her?
I don't know.
I know you don't know, but she does. You got to ask her.
No, she's not saying anything.
Why'd she get quiet?
I don't know. That's very interesting. I don't know. She got scared. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. So she's like, what about me? What about me? But then you say, cool, what about you? And then she disappears because she's not used to being paid attention to.
Yeah.
And when she is paid attention to, it's usually not safe. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much love you have in there that's been unrecognized. I feel like I'm just meeting you, but I just get this sense that you take such good care of everybody else and let everybody else feel these feelings and do these things and have space for them. And it's really nice that you're giving that space to yourself right now. It takes a lot of courage to do that.
Well, I've been giving them everything up to the point where I was just empty, and I had to, that's how I decided to do something for myself, because I just couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Otherwise, I would have continued, but I just couldn't.
Right. So for her, what would be the next step? Like, what does she need? It could be very simple. It could be like, you know what, go for a walk, or like have some fun, or get a massage. Like, it doesn't have to be like get a green card, change the world, take on the whole system, get to Mars, come back, and then go light speed to Uranus, and then have Pluto and Mercury retrograde. Like, we don't have to do all that. Like, what if it was just like, I don't know, get a smoothie, or like go for a walk? Like, could she just want something simpler than all that?
I don't know. I feel like I lost her, or she's hiding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I make a can I make a suggestion and see if this resonates with her? What if what she needed was help? And to not do it on your own. Yeah. What's that feeling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm doing everything on my own.
Yeah. Yeah, the reason why all that stuff stressed you out is because that's a lot of stuff to do all by yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, part of healing trauma, part of doing this work is not doing it by yourself and having support and having help. We'll talk more about that as the week goes on.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why we have Claim Your Power Live coming up, which is a 3-day deep dive into this stuff. It's more a way to go deeper.
Yeah.
But
I signed up.
you did. Look at you.
Yeah.
You're already getting the help, right? Like, you know you need help, but we want to make it explicit, meaning stated. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Because I'm not even like, that's what I learned. Another thing I learned, don't burden people out. So I didn't even tell my
there
family.
it is. Boom. Okay. That, you just gave yourself a beautiful key. Okay. Are you ready for this? This is so beautiful. Okay. You just said it. You don't want to burden other people.
Yeah.
Right? So here's the deal. Okay. What if you get to be a burden from now on?
I don't know. There's a part of me that's like, no, it's not even letting me.
Well, because what that means is that like that part of you that won't speak up, that doesn't ask for help, that gives and gives and gives, that accepts emotional abuse, right? That part of you disappears because you don't want to be a burden, because when you were younger, being a burden to your family pushed them away.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have been there for you if you were a burden. So you learned to be needless, to be invisible, so that they would be there for you. And this whole theme of your pending divorce, stepping out of abuse, is all about learning how to have needs, how to have wants, how to express them. And that part of you will feel like a burden as you do that, but it's okay. Because it won't actually be true. Feelings are not facts. So you do not need to resolve the feeling of feeling like a burden to move forward. It is actually okay to work in a way where you feel like a burden. Meaning, like, in a way, you just get to be a burden from now on, because that part of you will feel like a burden even though you're not, with the right people. Does that make sense? So if that part knew that it had permission to be a burden, how would that change things?
She feels okay with that, but I feel like other voices coming up and saying no.
Yeah, we'll take one voice at a time, right? And what if when she was a burden, there were people around who actually weren't burdened by you at all, that actually wanted to give to you, that wanted to be there for you, that wanted to pour into you?
Well, it hasn't been my experience. Like, I didn't have someone.
Well, that's obvious, but that wasn't my question wasn't, have you ever had an experience where people couldn't be there for you? The answer to that question is obviously yes. My question for you was, what if there were people who could take care of you and who weren't burdened by what you need? How would she feel?
Good.
All right. So we're going to pause for now because you've done a really good job staying here and being vulnerable. But I want to recap a few things, okay? So before we started talking, it was hard for you to even get into your body or feel your feelings because it wasn't safe. And then you got permission from a part of you that wouldn't let yourself feel to actually start to feel. And that was really awesome.
Yeah.
And then as you started to feel, you started to realize there was some sadness in there. You started to realize there was a feeling of invisibility, and there was a feeling of feeling like a burden. and that when you were younger, you recruited those strategies of being invisible so that you could get your needs met and be safe. And you've had other people tell you what to do because a part of you didn't know how to take care of you. And your current partner is, as you've shared, emotionally abusive. Now, the reason why you would stay in something like that is because even though he's being abusive, there's direction on what to do. It's just not safe, and it's not supportive of the woman you're becoming. But it has been something that has allowed you to know what to do because you haven't known how to take care of yourself, so you found somebody else to take care of.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so what you're learning now is that you can start to take care of yourself. And as you do, parts of you will feel like a burden, but that's okay because you're going to start to attract people in your life who can handle that, including this entire group of people here.
Yeah.
How does that feel?
The last part a bit still distrusting.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But is it just distrusting?
No. Excited also a little bit.
Yeah, so you feel excited and distrusting. So the distrusting part, that part has a place because we have to continue to create new experiences that disconfirm the trauma like we talked about earlier. Does that make sense? It's not a one and done thing. This is like a lifestyle thing.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy you're coming to Claim Your Power Live. That is so awesome.
Yeah.
All right. And you've done a great job today. Now, one thing I want to let you know, okay, sometimes when we do deep work like this, okay, later you can either have what's called like a vulnerability hangover sometimes where you're like, oh my God, I shared and what happened? Or sometimes when you go and create a little bit more of an expansive experience emotionally, there can be like a little bit of a contraction. So if the parts of the shame or the guilt start to speak up and get a little loud sometimes in the next like day or so, just know that's totally normal and it's okay. Because your nervous system is like a thermostat. If it gets too hot, the air conditioning kicks on. And if it gets too cold, the heat kicks on, right? So if we expand beyond what you're used to, parts of your system will come in to kind of keep you back where you were. Does that make sense? Because we're creating more flexibility in your nervous system right now. And the parts that have realized that it's not safe to be that flexible may kick in. Your job is to let them know that you're not a child anymore, you're not alone anymore, and that even though they don't feel safe, they are safe. Would you be able to do that?
Yeah. And what you just said happened actually, because I shared a little bit with other people something before, and after that I felt so bad. I'm like, why'd you do that? And I had to for 2-3 days to just lay down and not do much.
That's right.
I felt that after.
That's right. So that can happen, right? These expansions and contractions can happen, and that's normal, and that's part of creating more flexibility. But it doesn't make you bad. It doesn't make you, have some disorder.
Yeah.
It's just a normal response to growth and to courage.
Yeah. I'm learning to just accept, whatever doesn't make me feel comfortable, but just go with it. Part of me still wants to go with it, no matter what.
That's right. And that part of you also knows how to take care of yourself. And you did that by showing up today, by raising your hand, by being coached, by letting us know how far to go, by giving yourself permission to go further. Like there's a lot of things you did today to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And that's a really beautiful thing.
Yeah.
All right. So great job.
Thank you.
All right. And we'll be here tomorrow, okay? We're not going anywhere. We're here tomorrow.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Let's hear for Nora, you guys. It's so awesome. Just so good. So good. So good. Mwah! All right, I think we have time for one more person. Let's go over to James. It's very rare that a man shows up in these environments, so whenever there is one, I like to talk to him because it's so cool. Hello. Are you there?
Hi.
Hello, and your name is?
James.
It's James, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hear for James, y'all. All right. What is your question? How can I help today?
Okay, so I've first of all, I've read your book last year. At the beginning of last year, it was super helpful, and I'm sure others can relate. I've spent many years diving into a lot of modalities and research and learning to keep learning and learning about myself and developing my own path, I guess. And
awesome.
So right now, I'll get straight to the question. The thing that I find always kind of pressing for me is that I struggle with my my business and career, and it's generally around the actions and decisions with my business, and I find it difficult to feel sort of actualized and embodied with my work, and what, like, the choice, the decision that I've made just always kind of keeps, like, the imposter syndrome, you know, just keeps on always coming up, and it's just like, oh, okay, so, and 1 minute I feel like, yep, this is it, this is great, and I'm aligned, and then it just always keeps feeling that way. Yeah,
that makes sense.
I'm curious, as through all the work that I've done, I keep on unpacking and trying to unravel this mystery. So
sure, okay. The mystery of imposter syndrome?
Of that pending question that keeps on, oh, is this the right path? Is this the right thing? Is this...
Oh, I see. So it's more about the question around that. Okay, and how will you know when it's the right path?
I guess when I sort of see certain accolades or certain accomplishments or certain success.
Okay, so specifically what has to happen? You have to win an Oscar or a Grammy. You have to get a, like, what does that mean?
I think to be a bit more self-sufficient, self-reliable, and made it on my own kind of thing, I guess. And
yeah. And how will you know that you've made it on your own?
I guess it's a financial thing.
Okay, so how much money do you need to have come in so that you know you made it on your own?
Just enough to be able to, like, you know, have been where I don't need to rely on anyone.
Okay, and that number is how much?
That's it.
And by the way, you don't have to tell me, but if you know what it is, just tell me that you know what it is.
Sure. Okay. I guess I've got a figure.
Okay, great. And for, like, your business and stuff, like, what do you sell?
Well, I work in music. Music. I'm a producer in events and tours, and
cool. That's cool.
Yeah, and I actually have, started my own podcast, a radio show. Nice. So I'll do a few things. Yep.
Okay, and is that what you want to make money in, is the touring, or do you want to do something different?
I think it's a combination of all of that. These different parts of the business. So that being an event producer and through the podcast and perform DJing as well is a big thing too.
All right, and do you have things that you're selling? Like, do you have tour packages that you sell? Do you have a rider? Do you sell DJ services? Like, do you have ways in which you can sell those products and services?
Yeah, well, I guess I have a network. People come to me for artists. Like, I have a roster of artists. I position those artists.
That's cool.
And put them in events and tours. Yeah.
Okay, so sounds like you're doing good. What's the problem?
I think it's the I guess I'm not. I think I'm just not. I think I keep beating myself up about it. Like, I just don't think I'm doing enough or doing good enough.
So are you making the money that you need to be making in your
No.
business to be free?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Not right now. No, not
Okay.
right now.
All right. And do you know the steps that you like? Are you clear on what steps you would have to take to make that money?
Yeah. I feel like I've got a clear vision to get back.
Okay.
The last few months have been very challenging.
Yeah, you could say that again, especially for the live event business. So what's preventing you from taking those steps then? If you know what the steps are, you know what you have to do to get there, right? So you're a smart person. You've been doing this for a while. It sounds like you have a history of success. What's stopping you from taking those steps?
I think it's because I've been it doesn't sort of there's not this inconsistency, and that throws me off. Like it's like I feel like I've sort of crashed and burned again now, and
okay. So it sounds like your emotional state is what's stopping you.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the primary emotion that stops you from taking action? When you feel what?
Despair.
Okay.
Despair and uncertainty.
And there's been no reason to feel any of those emotions in the live event business the last year or two, has there? So when you think about despair and uncertainty, like what modalities have you tried to help you regulate and work on those emotional states?
Well, I have a really good routine at the moment. Like I have, I guess, to kind of get my baseline kind of regulated. Every day I work out. I jump in the ocean. I meditate.
Love it.
I write my journal.
Okay.
Yeah, I do a lot of things to kind of like get in touch with myself and my baseline. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. It sounds like you're doing it by yourself though.
Yeah. Yes, I am in a couple of communities that I do some like courses and programs and constantly doing that kind of work.
Okay.
So I do a lot of I keep that work all the time. I keep going. Yeah.
Okay. So what's the problem then?
Well, okay, so
Either you need help or you don't. And you're a smart guy. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So is this something that you want to figure out on your own?
Look, I definitely feel like I've worked a lot of stuff on my own, but of course with the help of services and online courses and what have you, and my own research, of course. But
yeah, something's not adding up though.
Yeah,
Mr. James.
Well, I think the new part is this. I think it's this new podcast that I've started last year, and it's been in hiatus since December. And I work up. So my work is in the electronic music industry, and I and of course the live space, as I mentioned, and something that's obviously this work is I'm very passionate about it. So I've combined basically a wellness for men in electronic music. Cool. And that's the kind of,
that sounds awesome,
which is something that I found to be would have been very helpful for me 10, 12, 15 years ago.
Amen.
And sorry, go on.
I said amen. I'm just
Yeah,
I'm just saying
yes,
preach. I'm with
okay.
you. I'm with you.
And so but yeah, just I've been on, I've pressed pause on that, and um, and obviously because of my experience in music business as well as radio and broadcasting, I pivoted towards presenting. So the and radio, I was involved in a very big organization. Came in as a consultant, helping them the last
Hey,
12 months. That happened
James,
in May. Yes.
are you aware that you're taking yourself off track right now?
No, I'm
Why are you
trying
laughing?
to. I'm trying to like bring this up so that
You're
I
trying to
can.
create about 7 years of context, which is unnecessary, which is cool. I get it, but you're not answering my question. Very simple question. Do you want to figure this out on your own or not?
No, I want help.
Okay. What specific type of help have you had? When you say online courses, does that mean like you log into something and you watch a video? Do you work with a therapist or a coach? Jumping in
Okay,
the ocean
so
is cool. Like, I just specifically, what help have you had?
okay, sure. All right. So I attended a Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Love it.
Yep,
Cool.
did that.
Okay.
And I use his meditations on the regular, like daily.
Which one? Like clearing your energy centers or imagining a new
All of
future?
them.
Like
All of them.
all of them? Okay, cool.
All of them.
Okay, love it.
I'm also part of Kyle Seith's. Kyle Seith.
Yeah.
Yep.
Comedian.
So I'm
Yep.
part of Kyle Cease's community. So I jump on some of his calls during the week. I've even
Okay.
I've done some work with him.
Cool.
I'm also part of the personal development school. I do some courses with Ty Gibson.
Got it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, there's some of the things that I'm doing
But
at the
those
moment.
sound like more like programs that you like log into and watch.
Yes, and there's been they do like this. There's webinars where we chat as well.
Great.
And I'm also seeing a somatic therapist at the moment as well.
Beautiful. Okay, great. Like SE, somatic experiencing.
I don't know anything else. It's just a somatic. She's a somatic therapist. I found her when I was in quarantine in May, and I speak to her every 2 weeks. Once a yeah.
All right. Well, it sounds like you have a lot of support. So why don't you tell me why you're not taking the steps that you know how to take then? Or let me know if you want help with the answer.
Well, I'm trying to figure out why can't I feel actualized in this choice, in this decision. Like it's always, it just keeps on coming up. That's why I'm bringing it up.
And you're doing a really good job trying to figure out how to feel actualized, by the way. You're putting a lot of work on how to feel actualized.
Yeah. I'm working a lot. I'm working a lot on this. Yeah.
Yeah. What would be the opposite of feeling actualized? Feeling what?
I guess this what I'm feeling is uncertain, like just stuck in understanding. Someone just said.
Yeah.
That's like
and where do you feel that in your body?
It's all sort of here and here.
Where do you feel it most?
Probably around the throat. And
okay.
In this moment.
Okay. Ask that throat part of you why it's keeping you safe. What do you notice?
It feels like all this energy is firing up.
All right, that's cool. What does that mean?
I'm feeling a bit anxious. I'm feeling a bit
Where do you feel that anxiousness?
Or sort of just it's sort of going up to the head,
All right. Where does it start?
around the chest.
All right. Ask that chest part of you what it's so anxious about.
Feeling really sort of uh, exposed here, very vulnerable.
That makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. You are exposed right now. Is that okay, or does this part want to go away?
Uh, yeah.
To which question? Was that a yes to wanting to go away and stop, or was that a yes to being okay being exposed?
No, I'm feeling very vulnerable. Very
yeah, you're doing a good job being vulnerable. It's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, just a bit. Just it feels like I've been on this for so long,
Yeah. So does it want to be vulnerable now, or does it want to stop?
I want to get off this treadmill.
Okay, cool. That's exciting. All right, so ask that part of you that feels anxious, what is it anxious about? Is it the fact that you feel exposed, or is it something else?
I think that, and that it's painful a bit too.
Yeah. What's painful?
This stuckness, this constant like question and this questioning all the time,
Yeah.
it's
And
just
where does the questioning live in your body?
it's all
So throat.
yeah.
All right, that's cool. Let's ask that throat piece how old it thinks you are.
I don't know, the number 5 was the first thing that came up.
Okay. Can you ask it what it's keeping you safe from?
It just draws blank. Just doesn't. It's like it's not really giving me anything. It's just.
Well, are you used to listening to that part?
I think so.
You think so?
No, I feel like I really tried to, I really tried to listen to my body and listen to.
That's cool. Listening to your body is great, but I'm talking specifically here. Are you used to paying attention here, or is this kind of this feeling been uncomfortable where you try to, do stuff to kind of make it go away almost?
I think more about like feeling it, but I guess I've never really kind of understood it.
Ah, okay. So this part doesn't. Okay, that perfect. This part doesn't feel understood.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. So can
I
you?
mean, I've always
I
have felt this before, like when doing, say, blessing of the energy centers, as you mentioned, and I always kind of feel the release of it, but I don't think I've gotten to the core of this. So,
well, the difference between I love Joe Dispenza. His work is not trauma informed. It doesn't need to be trauma informed. It's just a different thing, right? So like we're not trying to release it. We're trying to do the opposite of it. We're trying to actually like amplify it, make it bigger, let it be there, let it have a voice, make it welcome, right? So it sounds like as you're trying to ask it a question, it's going silent. Is that true?
Yeah.
Can you ask it why it's going silent? Mm-hmm.
So
What'd you notice?
I just heard the word "shut up."
That makes sense.
Hmm.
Yeah. Did someone tell you to shut up when you were 5?
I can't really recall a significant incident.
Okay. Is there an insignificant incident?
The only thing I can think of is just not being able to talk.
Okay.
Or
Were you not able to talk when you were younger?
necessarily I was able to speak my voice, or maybe I just wasn't heard.
Yeah. By who?
My folks.
Okay. And why didn't they hear you?
Um, well, it was I like what I had to say wasn't important enough, or
So if you just get enough accolades and enough importance and enough proof that what you're saying is important, then this part will finally feel safe enough to speak up because it feels important.
Mm.
Is that true?
Yeah.
The irony in that is that to get that importance, it would have to speak up first.
Right. So I got to do all this stuff to get that importance. That's what you mean, right?
Kind of. What I mean is that like if you don't feel important, this part doesn't feel important. Like I'm not important enough to be listened to. I'm not important enough to be heard. It's going to naturally think, well, when I'm important, I'll be heard.
Right.
Right. So like, what did your parents value as important?
The usual, do well at school, be a good boy, be a good son,
Yeah. And all the good kids go to in the music business, right? That's where all the normal good kids go, right?
Yeah.
I have a feeling you've been a bad boy, James. Is that true?
Been my past,
Yeah. Every sinner has a future. Every saint has a past. What can I say? Me too. Yeah. So it seems like the goal is to realize that as you use your voice, part of you won't feel like it's important. And respectfully, that's not something Dispenza or Cease or the ocean is going to teach you. They have great things to teach. I'm not against any modality that helps. They all serve,
Sure.
right? The problem with Dispenza from the trauma-informed perspective is that it's not a complete modality, because when you go full quantum, he asks you to find emotions that are more powerful than these emotions, which is literally negating and or gaslighting parts of your nervous system that actually need acknowledgement. So when he's like, find a feeling that's more powerful than whatever you're feeling in your throat, right? You're basically telling that part of you to shut the fuck up more.
Yeah.
And so, like it makes sense. And by the way, like your literal chosen path of business is like podcast. You have to use your voice. Like it makes sense that you would choose that to heal. So I bet all the most important things in your life that matter the most to you feel unimportant and like people won't be interested in them.
Yep.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the goal is to do all the unimportant things, even though they don't feel important. And even though parts of you feel like they're not going to be important, they won't be received well. Like literally your to-do list is all the unimportant stuff that people won't be interested in. That's your to-do list.
Yeah.
What are you doing with that?
Where do I go from here?
Straight into insignificance.
Straight into insignificance?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean by that?
what I mean is that you felt insignificant because your parents didn't pay attention to you or didn't think that you were important, right? So the part of you that's trying to dream and go to the next level in your business and your life is the part of you that was not interesting to your parents, was not significant to your parents. And so it's going to feel unimportant and insignificant. So where are you going? We're right into that. The more that you can embrace the feeling of insignificance and not being important, the better. If you can't accept that you feel that way, you'll be stuck.
Just trying to process all that now. There's a lot to take in.
Yeah. Makes sense.
We're going to get a recording of this.
Yeah. Someone just said that it's like telling someone who's experienced trauma to get over it. That's actually not what we're doing at all. We're actually saying don't get over it and feel it fully.
Yeah.
Right?
I can understand. I've done that where I try, like, just keep on trying to not block things away, but really feel this before. But this particular thing this was a hard one. Like, it was a hard thing to untangle on my own too.
Yeah, you're not going to untangle it on your own. That's not how it works. Unfortunately, we can't work on our own blind spots on our own.
Yeah.
That's just not how it works, right? So, and it feels vulnerable. And it's important to understand that all of the most significant things to you, this part will feel like they're insignificant. So if you're waiting to feel significant before you start, you won't. It's almost like you know what to do, but you would do it if you felt significant.
So what the hack is for me to feel significant and then just do it? Like,
nope. That's what you've been trying to do the whole time.
Right.
No, yeah. This is why you're your own worst coach. No, the hack is to make a list of all the things you feel insignificant doing right now, and then do those things, and not need to resolve feeling insignificant before you start.
Sorry, say.
I know, it's like I'm speaking Greek almost, aren't I? You want me to say it again?
Yes, please.
Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Rubber baby buggy bumpers. The most important things to you are things that your parents thought were insignificant. And so that means that right now, a part of you, this part in your throat, will feel insignificant doing them.
Right.
And there is no meditation modality, whatever, that will help you maintain a feeling of significance long enough to actually change your life. Because you'll start going right back into feeling insignificant as you start to do the things that are significant to you that were insignificant to other people. You can do it for a time. You can get into the emotional state for a period of time, but for it to actually shift and change, it actually has to shift and change. And the way for it to shift and change long term is to not need to resolve the feeling of significant. Like, you think you have to feel significant to take action.
Yeah, and I mean, and also like, and having like a full day of things to do makes me feel significant, you know, and
Sure.
so like it's keeping myself busy, you know, and
As long as it's busy doing the insignificant shit, that's cool.
well, I've stripped that down massively in the last, like, I've kind of like stopped doing things and have given myself a break and tried to kind of create like and now what I'm doing is I've created a more of how I want my lifestyle to be.
That's
first,
really good.
Then like around my rather than trying to build that around the business.
Yeah, I get that, and that's smart. And what I'm saying is that like how you want your lifestyle to be is feeling significant doing these things. That's what you really want. You want to feel important. You want to feel significant. You want to feel like you matter. You want the accolades. And that's possible for you, but not before you start. That shit comes a lot later.
Yes.
Right? So you're going to feel insignificant as you do the things that are important to you.
So what do I do?
The shit that you feel insignificant doing and not need to resolve feeling significant to do it.
So,
I want you to feel... Go ahead.
Go. Sorry. Finish your thought.
I want you to understand that you do not need to resolve the feelings of insignificance before you start. That's a losing strategy. That will not work. You are going to feel insignificant doing the most important things in your life. That does not mean you are insignificant. It just means you're going to feel that way sometimes.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes
you're waiting to feel different before you take action.
Right.
And what I'm telling you, if we go all the way back to Bill Wilson, the 12 steps, old school, you cannot think your way into right action. We act our way into right thinking. See, the Dispenza stuff, love it. It's about getting into an emotional state. I love it. I love it. Okay? And this part of you still exists, no matter how fucking quantum you go. It's wired in from childhood. It's still there. The more it's welcome, the less it'll resist. The way that you make it welcome is by feeling it. The way you feel it is to go, oh my God, I've been so ignored since I was 5. Shut the fuck up. Oh my God, all those feelings are here. And I'm still doing my podcast. And I'm still doing the things that I'm doing while this feeling is still there, because it's not going to go away until you embrace it and give it a voice. And even then, it'll still be there sometimes.
Right.
Especially when there's a new level of challenge.
Yep. Yeah. So the thing is to embrace that and just accept that that is part of the journey, and that it's going to feel like shit sometimes.
Yeah, especially when it's most important to you.
Sorry?
Especially if it's the most important stuff to you.
Yeah. No, I get that. No, I mean, I've definitely.
Oh, you get it. Okay, my bad.
No. I get that now. No, it's definitely crossed my mind. I'm not expecting it to be roses and no hard work. Like I get that. Like,
that's not yes, and that's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, the emotion for you that's hardest to feel is unimportant or insignificant. That is a tough emotion for you to feel. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm saying is, the things that matter to you most in your business, when you're doing them, a part of you will feel that way, unimportant and insignificant. And you're trying to change that before you take action.
Right. So you're saying just do the actions and yeah.
But don't ignore the feelings of insignificance. Let it be there and be like, oh, hi, there's my 5-year-old feeling insignificant again. Thank you for being here. Yes, I know that when I was 5 years old and probably before and after that, I felt insignificant to my parents. And I really know that you want me to feel significant before I start my first podcast episode. And I love you. And guess what? I'm going to do it anyway. And we're going to move.
Right.
You don't need to resolve that first.
Got it.
And what happens a lot of times with sort of the emotional regulation, quantum strategies, if we're not careful, is it helps us get into the right feeling place, which is important, okay? But that we have neural pathways that are wired from birth that like, and by the way, when we create, if we go to Dispenza for a second, right, we create a new body and a new mind, okay? And the old one still exists. Like the old pathways are still there. We're wiring in new pathways all the time, but the old ones don't go away. Okay?
Yes.
And so, yes, we can create new minds. We can create new coherence in our body and brain and all that type of stuff. And the trauma pathways are still there. And so when there's new challenge, when there's new uncertainty, when the stakes get higher, those pathways activate and say, you have to feel significant first. And then you go, cool, let me go clear my energy center, which is basically telling that part to fuck off. It works for a second, and then I wonder why I'm still stuck.
Yeah.
And I'm not anti-Dispenza or anything like that. It's just not trauma-informed. Without a trauma-informed approach, that stuff can be very dissociative, which is what we don't want.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Amazing. I can see that. Yeah. I had a thought when you were describing. Yeah. So it's like, obviously creating content and supporting content. I get so triggered, like when I look at other people in my industry and they're creating content and I can't do it because I feel this stuckness,
No. You can do it, but when you do, you feel insignificant and you don't want to feel insignificant, so you don't let yourself do it, but you can do it.
Yes.
And what I'm telling you is to go make the most insignificant content you can imagine.
You're saying I should go ahead and make the most insignificant content?
I am absolutely saying that, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Why are you laughing?
I just find that funny. I just like, so you're just saying like put anything out there?
Yeah.
All right.
You want to know why? The truth is what you put out is going to be dope because you are who you are, but your feelings are not going to match that. See, I think everything I put out is shit. But the marketplace doesn't think that. You read my book. It changed your life. I thought it was a complete piece of shit when I wrote it. I still don't think it's that good, honestly. But guess what? It's still out there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it wasn't until years later when I reread it and forgot that I wrote it. And I was like, this is actually some good shit. But when I was reading it and writing it the first time, I was like, this is a fucking horrible piece of shit. Right? So it's like you don't need to feel significant in your work. And by the way, I bet when you feel significant creating something, it's probably the shittiest thing you've ever made. The best art is humble. The best art comes from those places of vulnerability, and it's true. It's in the real vulnerable feelings. That's the best art.
I think this is also like the same reason why I haven't been able to actually create music as well, actual music too.
Yeah, go create insignificant music, insignificant content, and never matter, and you'll be very happy. I promise. I mean it.
So it's almost like saying to take all this stuff off the pedestal, like.
Sure, that's one way to put it, including yourself and your parents.
Yeah.
Because the most insignificant thing you can do is the most significant thing you can do.
The most significant thing I can do is the most insignificant thing I can do.
That's right. It'll feel very insignificant, but it's the most important.
Yeah. And that was super helpful. Thank you, Mastin.
You look, you're welcome, and your face is suspicious right now.
I'm trying to process this. I guess I want to actually make sure that this is real. Like this is the act. Like, is this like is this really the thing that I've been like on, the the missing part of all this. You know, I'm just trying to like make sure it's a part of my brain's like, yeah, this makes sense. This is real. But then another part is like, no.
Yeah.
This is not really the truth.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you want to get down to what's really the truth, we could be here debating that for the rest of eternity, because it's all subjective and imagination of ourselves and a quantum reality. And you don't even need to know that it's true to do it. Because you could debate that for the rest of your life.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you got to take action. You just got to keep moving.
Especially when you feel insignificant. That's the shit you want to do the most.
Yeah.
Like in my life, whenever I do something expansive, I feel like nobody's going to show up. Okay. So like this challenge is the largest one we've done. Of course, Facebook goes down today. And like part of my nervous system was like, see, no one's going to show up. The universe and Facebook itself is against you. See, you can't expand. There's this little tiny part of me that did that. It's like, no, we're just going to pivot and go over to YouTube. It's cool. Right. So it's like that's there when there's expansion. So I do all the things that if I do that, I'll be alone. Those are the things that I do. Your version is insignificance. If I look at a list of all the stuff I do that would make me feel alone, it's the most important stuff in my life.
Right. Yeah, lots to world. Lots to in there so much.
One other way to put it, and then we'll wrap up, okay?
Sure.
Jesus was born in a manger around shit and piss and hay, not in the Four Seasons. Okay? Not at the Vatican. The divine comes in humble packages. What seems insignificant is usually God knocking. God does not announce his or herself and come in with pomp and circumstance and grandiosity.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Certainly, it feels these last 4 or 5 months have kind of feel like I've my whole life just completely changed. I had to move countries.
Lots of shifting.
Lots of stuff changed in the last 5 months, and I've been slowly sort of integrating and adapting, and it feels like I've had to come, not to say the cliche, start all over again, but it feels like I've kind of had to go back down to come back up, you know? Yeah.
Exactly. And part of that is realizing that the most significant thing you can do is what's insignificant. And we'll leave it there for today, okay?
Okay. Thank you, Mastin.
Here for James, you guys. Awesome. That was so unimportant. It was the most important thing. Let's hear it for James, y'all. It's so beautiful. All right. So thank you, everybody. I know we talked about creating a flexible nervous system today, so thank you for being flexible and being with us here on YouTube. Good day today? Yes? You guys have a good day today? Day 1, how did we do? Yeah? Awesome. Beautiful, beautiful. We will be back tomorrow, day 2. We have 4 more days left. Have a great rest of your night, morning, evening, day, wherever you are, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye, y'all.